Erev Tov Kibbutz Ketorah. Good morning in Phoenix, where fans are probably celebrating still their victory last night in the basketball contest. And here we are, America-Israel Friendship League. My name's Wayne Firestone. We've got friends from around the world, and we're so grateful to have you here in this continuing series where we meet remarkable people from Israel, from the United States. Let me start by saying the obvious. It is hot out there. How hot is it? Put in the chat. Tell us where you're calling in from. We have a very high bar to meet. Carlo, calling in already from Kuwait, says it's 115. So we're looking at a very high bar. We have speakers today calling in from Puerto Rico and from Eilat. So you already know we are going to reach some very high temperatures. So let us know how hot it is where you are in the chat. We are going to keep this conversation today not hot, but just warm, because we have two incredibly warm individuals sharing with us remarkable stories about their lives. They have defined themselves as having a second chance, and you're going to hear what that means in the specifics of their circumstances in their own words. 100 degrees in Las Vegas, Nevada, Janet tells us. So we know we have a triple-digit day for a number of people here. I'm so excited to be here with Oren Blitzblau. Oren grew up in Nahariya. He was a swimmer as a kid, and he's kept that athletic prowess throughout his entire life. He entered the Israel Defense Forces in the parachute corps. And as you're going to learn, in 2005, he lost his sight as well as experiencing other injuries as part of the consequence of a suicide bomber going off near him. But that did not stop him from continuing his love for athletics and his vigor for life. He became a para-triathlete. He has competed all over the world. He has competed in places like Brazil and New Zealand and Madrid. He won the second place in the European Championship in the visually impaired category, and indeed in 2014 was named the Athlete of the Year by the Israel Olympic Committee. He has his studies in his background in a BA in diplomacy, strategy, and political science from the Israel Interdisciplinary Center in Herzliya, where he lives usually with his kids and wife. But today he's joining us from the hotspot of Eilat. Now, in a different part of the world, here in the Western Hemisphere, we have Omar Sana, who was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where he is joining us again from today, which just narrowly missed the latest in the hurricane season after having experienced hurricanes personally, and we may get to that as well. Omar's a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy. He has a bachelor's in science also in political science, and he has a professional background in the Navy as Navy officer in electronic warfare. He was deployed 4 times to the Gulf, so he actually has probably some pretty good muscle memory from those 100-degree plus deployments in the Gulf. And indeed, he has received numerous accommodations and awards, including the Naval Meritorious Officer. And now, and in the capacity he's going to be sharing today, he's the program director at the Heroes for Heroes Foundation, which is doing heroic work. So let's begin our conversation with Oren. Oren, I know you're going to run a presentation for us in a way that allows you to share both from your personal experience, but also demonstrates for us the technology that you work with pretty much on a regular day-to-day basis. So I'm going to turn it over to you to start the presentation, and very much looking forward to starting the conversation together with Omar.
Thank you very much. Just a second. This is me.
Great. We can see you
Okay.
beautifully, and we know that that's not you running in a lot. It's you running somewhere else.
No, this is in London. This is in London or Sweden. I don't recall. I think in Sweden. Probably London. Yes. Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. You probably ask yourself how the hell a blind person can be the fastest blind Ironman in the world. Those of you who doesn't know, what does it mean? That's 3.8 kilometers swimming in the sea, 180 kilometers cycling on a tandem bike, and a marathon in the end, 42.2 kilometers. And I done it in August 2018. And not that I just done it, I broke the world record and a Guinness record. Unfortunately, there wasn't any Guinness representative, so it wasn't officially a Guinness record. But I didn't know that I will catch such a great day. It was 10 hours and 51 minutes. And this is my biggest achievement as an athlete. And you probably ask yourself, how? How I managed to do it? Or where did it all start? So it started, as Wayne mentioned, 35 years ago in Nahariya. I was a super energetic boy, and I was a long distance swimmer, 400, 800 meters freestyle. I had a lot of motivation and some talent. There were more talented swimmers than myself. Yet I started my presentation with the swimming because swimming was the first place I realized I learned what does it mean to be determined. What does it mean to work hard? How can you achieve your goals just by knowing that you know how to work? You know how to work hard. And I knew how to work hard, yet I wasn't so talented. And because of that, in Israel, you get a skip from your army service only if you're super talented or holding a Israeli record, and this wasn't the situation. In the Israeli champ, I was always fourth or fifth, and because of that, I was recruited to the parachute corps. And in 1996, I started my officer course as intelligence officer, and I started my army service. And everything was going great till January 18, 2005. It was a routine arresting day. I was the intelligence officer of the Armed Brigade 188, and we got some information that there is a suspect tending to pass the Gaza Strip from the northern part to the southern part, and we have an opportunity to catch him in one of the main junctions. We started the arrest early in the morning, and in the evening, the suspect realized we're gonna take him to the investigation. He realized we're gonna close on him, and he pulled the trigger from his trousers. The Israeli Secret Service, what we call Shin Bet, Oded Sharon, was immediately killed, and I was severely injured. I lost my eyesight. The ceramic vest I was wearing, saved my life, but broke my ribs into my lung. And I was rushed to the Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. Some of you are familiar with the phrase golden hour. If you can reach a trauma room less than 60 minutes, there's a good possibility going to save your life. And after 47 minutes, I entered the hospital and I lost my consciousness. And I woke up a week later, and I don't see. And I'm telling the nurse, I can't see. And she told me, you were severely injured in your eyes. And I asked her, both eyes? She told me, well, one eye is gone, and the other eye has a slight chance. This slight chance made a friction of sight for several years, but today I'm in total darkness. I asked the nurse to call my wife, son. We were only married for 15 months. And I told my wife, Nitzan, listen, honey, give me 2 months, 3 months, I'm going back to serve my country. It didn't take 2 or 3 months, it took 8 months. And I came back to Army service for another 10 years and completed 20 years of active service. And these were hard days, extremely hard. I have to realize I'm a blind person, starting to eat in darkness, taking a shower, losing my independence, a total uncertainty what is going to happen the day after. And it was a huge crisis. What you see here, my friend, is a calligraphy of the word crisis, and it has two meanings. Crisis. It's opportunity or disaster. And I'm here today to share with you the opportunity that I had to live my second life, and what are my thoughts and insight, and how I managed actually to speak with you right now. It wasn't so easy, but I want to share with you my journey. The first insight, the first thing I realized, that I have to take a decision. And the word decision in English, the true meaning is a time to cut. And I realized it's a time to cut, to take the turn, to realize it's a new life. There is no growth without a decision. There is no progress without a decision. And some decisions are hard. And I had to take a decision and to choose to live a full life, to smile, to have a family, to keep serving my country, because some things are not on our control. And you ask yourself, how did I manage to do that? Well, in order to cope with these challenges in time of uncertainty, you have to go back to the last place you heard uncertainty. I went back to Army service because I knew terrorism is aiming to change my way of life. And my biggest win over the terror organization is the fact that I kept on doing what I've done before. Although this group is aiming to create fear and anxiety in my life, I went back to serve my country. It wasn't so easy. I had to learn what does it mean to be blind. If you want to succeed in your life, you have to be a profession, and being blind is a profession. Sitting here today, giving a presentation, broadcast all over the world, doesn't go like that. I had to practice again and again and again and again, and to open my mind to new technologies that can help me serve in the army between people that has no disabilities. Serving in the elite unit 8200 was a great privilege and opportunity to learn new things, such cyber. And today I teach cyber in schools. The easiest thing to say, it's hard. The hardest thing to say, I can win it. And I decided I can win it. And therefore I kept on serving my country as a major, as an intelligence officer, as an analyst, because I knew this is the place I have certainty. And if you're asking yourself again, from where the power, from where I was so motivated, I went back to the place I learned as a teenager. What is being motivated? What is being determined? What is to work hard? I started swimming again and went back to triathlon. And as Wayne mentioned the first of the presentation, working hard, and the end of the road, I finished second in the European Champ 2013, because this is a place I had motivation. This is a place I was felt secure. And in hard time, this is the only thing I can share with you and help you to think that in hard times, such as in COVID-19, go back to place you are secure, you can feel certain. But more than that, I want to share with you a short video with my daughter, playing with her. 20 seconds video. I'm playing. זה השקופית? כן. You see, I didn't jump to the right direction, but I even embarrassed my daughter, but I dared. And there is no winning without dare. And I can only offer you, my friends, in hard time, don't give up. Dare, again, again, and again. There is no free meals. And although I don't see my daughter, my both daughter, I can feel them, and I can be a parent, even though in some aspects I am not the best, but there are some things in our life that are not in our control, and we can fight with them all the time. And 2 more slides. Giving up is not an option. This is me climbing one of the hardest mountains in Italy. Standing in the same place is going backwards. You have to move all the time, all the time. I know people lost in this last 18 months, their place, their work. I lost myself twice. And this is the reason I'm allowing myself saying what I'm saying. Don't ever give up. There's no reason to give up. There's always a chance. And one more thing. The only thing worse than being blind is having a sight with no vision. It's not mine, it's Ellen Keller's sentence. If I could do that, all of you can do it as well. Keep trying, don't ever give up, and never lose your vision. Many thanks. Wayne, thank you very much.
Oren, your story is so powerful and so inspiring that I just have to pause for a minute, because you have expressed and shared so much from a very particular experience that happened to you that I think can resonate to people who are veterans, people who are not veterans, people with families, people around the world. I just want to read one comment. As a U.S. military veteran, I salute you for your service and sacrifice. And
Thank you very much.
There's a recognition that what you shared is something that unfortunately veterans disproportionately have encountered and have needed to find strategies. And I know both of you, Oren and Omar, have in your background and strategy and thinking about this from a larger picture. And really, I think that I'll use that as the segue to introduce Omar in thinking about what have we learned about this, not just the sacrifices of veterans, but about the need for them to be reintegrated and to have support in a way that recognizes that, yes, we can honor and award people for their service. We can say thank you for their service. There are some easy things we can do, but what are the next steps to take for a hero to allow that they can continue to be a hero, perhaps in a different setting. And indeed, that is something that a partner organization that AIFL has worked with on bringing various groups to Israel in the past. We're so grateful to have Omar here representing Heroes to Heroes. First, we'll hear a little bit about Omar and his own experience as a war veteran. And Omar introduced me and us in our planning call to this idea of moral wounds. So he's not going to open with any slides about his own physical injuries, but rather to talk about some of the invisible injuries that people carry with them after their service. So Omar, I know you have some thoughts and some materials that you'll be sharing as well with the audience. So let me turn over to you to share a little bit from your experience.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you everybody for setting this up. Thank you for the invitation. Oren, I'm not worthy to be sharing this virtual stage with you. Brother, you are an amazing human being.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And giving up is not an option, and you're totally right. And my story is about PTSD, moral injury. Like Wayne said, it's the silent or invisible wounds that come back from combat. I'm the program director of Heroes to Heroes Foundation. My name is Omar Hanna, like I said, and we are led by an amazing human being, a great human. Her name is Judy Elias, and I know she's here in the audience today. Judy, a virtual hug I sent you, and we owe you a debt of gratitude. And I say we because it's almost close to 400 participants in the Heroes to Heroes Foundation and the program, and we owe you a debt of gratitude that will never be paid. So thank you for what you do for us. Thank you for what you've done for future veterans, and thank you for everything you've given us. Like I said, Heroes to Heroes Foundation, you can find it on www.heroes2heroes.org, and it's an organization, but I want to call it a family. Is a family, and this is what Heroes to Heroes is. Is a family with a vision that we want the U.S. to be the place where our veterans can truly come home. And we know some veterans, when they come back from combat, they never come back home. And emotionally, physically, for example, you could see the Vietnam War veterans coming back from Vietnam. They were spat on. They were called baby killers. They never returned to a nation that offered them their gratitude and their love. And the beauty about Heroes to Heroes also is that we provide the program to all combat veterans, regardless of where they served, including Vietnam War veterans as well. Our mission is to provide spiritual healing and peer support for combat veterans, like I said, of all services and all faiths who have attempted suicide and or are on a path to self-destruction due to the PTSD or moral injury that they bring from combat. My story, I'm from Puerto Rico. I went to the Naval Academy, so I was groomed to be the creme of the United States naval officers, and we were taught to be tough. We were taught to be smart. We were taught to do things right, honorably, and I was okay with all of it. And I sent kids back to the war, combat. I myself went to the Persian Gulf 4 times. I deployed 4 times, so I know what combat is, and I was okay with it. But when I came back home, after I retired, it just hit me, and that's what PTSD does to you. You don't know that you have PTSD. You don't know that you have moral injury until it just hits you out of nowhere. And for me, I think it just happened when I came back home. I was already retired. I thought I was going to live a very happy retired life, and all of a sudden, I just started getting angry. All of a sudden, I didn't have enough patience. and my family was getting the brunt of my anger and my losing patience. But I did not see it. I did not see it coming. I wasn't aware of it. Wasn't aware of it. You see, back when I was in charge, because as a naval officer, you're in charge of people. You're in charge of people, and you have to make the tough decisions. Um, we put some people in harm's way. We put some people in harm's way, and I'm sorry. This is hard. This is hard to talk about. I don't like to talk about this, but there are two kids that come to mind. These are the two kids that are always in my nightmares. And they were teenagers. They were 18 both of them were 18 years old. And I don't want to mention their names, but these are two kids that we put in harm's way, and they did not come back to their families. They did not come back to their parents. They did not come back to their girlfriends, to their brothers and sisters. And I think it's just when my kids turned that age, when my kids became teenagers and became that age that they could go and serve their country, that's when it hit me. And that's when I started getting the nightmares and my anger issues. And I was on that, I did not see it back then, but I was on that path to self-destruction. And I was destroying my family as well, my wife, my beautiful wife, and my beautiful kids. They were just asking me, "What's wrong with you? Why are you this way?" And I did not see it. I did not see it. I went to the VA. The VA, the Veterans Affairs Hospital. They like to. God bless them. They like to help you, but all they want to do is medicate you. And I saw all my friends getting back from the VA, and they were zombies if they took their medication. So I decided not to take any medications. I said to myself, there has to be something out there that can help me without these medications, without turning me into this zombie, into this Walking Dead. And there was, and it's called Heroes to Heroes Foundation. A friend of mine talked to me about it. I researched it online. And I applied to the program, and I was selected, thankfully, and in the darkest moment of my life. I really needed Heroes to Heroes Foundation, and they were there for me. We traveled to Newark, where our journey starts. It's a journey that takes us to Israel, to walk and to see all the tourist sites and all the Christian sites, and to do community service over there. And we traveled to Israel, and this beautiful, amazing person, like I said, Judy Elias, our president and founder, was there to greet us with a big hug and a big smile on her face, and to tell us, it's okay, you're okay. And I'm sorry, somebody is here. And I'm sorry. So okay. And I turned my phone off just for that, but I guess it goes through the computer as well. Technical difficulties, huh? But anyways, so Judy was there to greet us with a big hug and and to tell us it's okay to not be okay. I know you are inside, that you are hurt, but let me take care of that. And she did. And the beautiful organization, Heroes to Heroes, we went to Israel, and we walked where Jesus walked, and we were baptized in the Jordan River, and we went to the Western Wall. We placed our hand to the Western Wall, and it was so powerful of an experience that it put everything in perspective in my life. And from that moment on, I said, yes, I'm hurt. I got PTSD. I got moral injury. But like Oren said, okay, failure is not an option. Giving up is not an option. We need to move forward. I need to move forward for my family, for my kids, for my friends, for the people that depend on me. And being in Israel. What a powerful country for the Israelis and that are here listening to us. I mean, it's an amazing country. And for the people that have not been to Israel that are listening to us right now, highly recommended. We highly recommend it. And Heroes to Heroes Foundation just gave me a second chance in my life. From that moment on, I was a different person. And that's where I call that's my second life. That is my second life. From that moment on, I thought about PTSD as not as a disability, but as a blessing, because thanks to the PTSD, I started my second life and I met my Heroes to Heroes family. And I told Judy Elias, listen, Judy, I mean, this has been you made such a profound effect in my life that I want to help you. I want to help you. There's something that I learned in Israel. It's called Tikkun Olam, which is repairing the world, one soul, one person at a time. And from that moment on, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help. I want to give back what I was given by Heroes to Heroes Foundation and Judy Elias. And Judy took me in, and I thank her for that. And now I'm the program director of an amazing family. So far, we've taken close to 400 American and Israeli vets to Israel, and all of them are still with us today. And that's a pretty amazing fact and figure, because between 20 and 22 American veterans commit suicide every day. Every day they take their lives. And if you see out of the 400 of us, we're still here today, that means that Heroes to Heroes Foundation really, really works. And I want to thank Judy, and I want to thank the Heroes to Heroes family, and thank you guys for letting me share my story. I don't like talking about it, like my wife said. I mean, are you sure you want to do that? But I think that everybody needs to hear my story and Oren's story and all these stories from all these veterans that come back and find their second chance in life. My second chance in life was Heroes to Heroes Foundation. Thank you very much.
And again, I know we're gonna queue up in a moment a little video about the Heroes to Heroes Foundation, just so people can have a broader understanding. But I guess that common element that I want to call out and honor is, because it's such an important part of both of your stories, is your families, your wives and your kids, as both a motivation for what you're doing today, and frankly, you're being role models in what you had to overcome. So it's nice to see your families as both your protectors, and recognizing that the work that you're doing now involves other kinds of risks and involves other kind of vulnerabilities, in speaking to difficult memories, difficult challenges, but I think you are empowering so many other people with your stories and your vulnerability, as well as your strength. And multiple people have put into the chat resilience, strength. That's what they are seeing from your willingness to share this with us. So let's take a quick look before we turn to some discussion questions to learn a little bit more about the work of Heroes to Heroes.
I was nominated for a Silver Star for Valor. I have numerous combat injuries and a Purple Heart. I don't know how to convey to somebody who hasn't done what I've done what I feel.
Heroes to Heroes understands that the U.S. alone can't deliver the kind of healing and renewal that many of our wounded combat vets need. We bring them to Israel and help them form relationships of unconditional acceptance and support with IDF vets.
We trained so hard to go to war. We put everything in it, but never trained how to come back home.
They're afraid to say, I hurt.
Meeting the Israeli soldiers, it's amazing.
For U.S. veterans, regardless of their religion, The journey to Israel is a spiritual one.
Yes.
Many describe it as a rebirth.
I've gone through the medical, through the Army, and through the VA, and that's helpful. We get treatment for that. But the spiritual relief that Heroes to Heroes provided is really second to none.
This is where Israel has something truly unique to offer them. The Heroes to Heroes program highlights that special bond between Israel and the United States.
Soldier to soldier. I'm not Israeli.
Yep.
You're not American. But that bond was instant. Say, Shababa.
Sababa.
Heroes to Heroes gives them the opportunity to connect.
To be able to bond with my Israeli friends, to help both Israeli veterans and American veterans move forward, to see that there is something at the end of the road.
It's a gift from Israel to America.
He was diagnosed with PTSD. It was destroying our marriage. Heroes to Heroes helped. The trip he took to Israel brought a relief for Dave. We're expecting a baby right now. We are ready for our family to move on.
It's a chance to come together, a chance to heal, and a chance to form an unbreakable bond that will last a lifetime.
My friends are on the wall. I can't come here. I haven't been in. Every time I look on these names, I say to myself, what will happen if we won't have any more place to put any more names? And I said, shit, I don't want a place to put names. I don't need names anymore on this wall. It's enough. We don't have any more names. We don't need place for more names. We have to look for peace. Don't put any more names. How many names?
Too many.
And that Wayne, and that voice that you heard on the narrator is Judy, our president and founder, Judy Elias. So yeah, it's an amazing family. And if you want to check us out, go to our website, and you'll learn more about Heroes to Heroes Foundation.
Wow, and again, I'm so moved by each of your stories and your passion and your work really is I think very contagious here. Oren, I know when you made the decision to be an Ironman in your second life, that was a pretty big and bold kind of personal goal you were setting for yourself. And looking at some of those photographs that you shared with us about your training, it seems to me you chose to do something that probably you recognized involved other people as well to help support you. Could you tell us a little about your training? Could you tell us a little bit about why you chose something, frankly, so physically and otherwise difficult to do?
First of all, why not? If you can do it, why not? But the thing is, training for Ironman is extremely hard as a blind person because there's a lot of logistic involved. I can swim in our veteran house, INZ, alone in the swimming pool, but swimming in the sea is always with a guide. Cycling on a tandem is with a guide. Running is with a guide, and I've met a lot of volunteers who helped me to achieve this amazing dream. Yet I realized in the end of the road, these people need to get paid because I'm a time consumer, and time is money. Therefore, I asked our veteran house, our Irgun Nechei Tzahal, INZ, to support, and they support me beautifully in this amazing campaign. And otherwise, I wouldn't be able to achieve this goal. It's a lot of training, a lot of logistics, a lot of flights in training camps, and I couldn't done it alone without the veteran house support. And I got to meet amazing people, people who are volunteering to run with me, to swim with me in the sea, and to cycle with me on the tandem. And at the end of the road, it was one person who guided me through the race. You're not allowed to change guides between the swimming or the cycling. if you want to make it an official result. But the training was involving a lot of people.
Well, I was so impressed, in thinking about this, and Omar, when I was sort of reflecting on this, I noticed something in your email signature that sort of stuck out to me with the acronym TEAM, because as Oren was describing his second life, it really does involve, even though he's got to be the one that has the motivation and the physical ability to be an Ironman competitor, he does have this team around him. And I saw in your work email, team, together everyone achieves more. Could you tell me a little bit about that philosophy? And is this just something that is sort of part of the DNA of military service? It feels like it's an element that is extremely strong in both of your stories.
It is, Wayne. It is part of our DNA in the military. They teach us the team will achieve the mission. Individuals will not. And every time you go into combat, you have a team with you. To your left and to your right, you're going to look and you're going to have people there in your team. And together, that team will achieve their mission. If the team breaks down and it becomes individuals, then it won't. But on top of that, Wayne, on top of that signature blog on my email, there's also a Heroes to Heroes motto, and it's faith, forgiveness, and healing. Faith, forgiveness, and healing, and that's what I found in Israel. The faith I had lost during my military time, and when I came back, and the forgiveness that Israel gave me when I went to Israel, the forgiveness of me doing the things that I did in combat, and then I healed in Israel and came back to my family as the old Omar I used to be with them, and in his new life. So it's very powerful. Faith, forgiveness, and healing also are very powerful words.
So Omar, can we stay with your trip to Israel for a moment? I just want to ask a follow-up. Can you describe your interactions with other Israeli? We saw an example of one in the film, but could you share from your own personal experience, what you learned from meeting with other Israeli veterans, and what insights and how that helped you in your path to healing?
Yeah, of course. So each team has 12 Americans, and we meet 3 Israelis in Israel, and they are with us for the entire time, which is 8 complete days in Israel. And they stay with us in the hotels. They room with the Americans. So these Israelis, give us the inside of Israel. The tour guide gives us where we're going and the history, but the Israelis give us the Israeli perspective about the country, about the people, about the families, about the customs, about the traditions. So it's amazing to have these 3 Israelis with us, because we learned a lot from them. We learn from the religion, we learn from the cultures, and we become brothers. If you take a look at our chats, we keep each team in different chats, WhatsApp chats, and these guys become brothers for life. I have more than 20 Israeli brothers that I've been with in Israel, and we call each other, and we do buddy checks. We call it buddy checks in the military. We make sure that we're okay and they're okay, and it's amazing just to have that brotherhood with the Israelis as well.
Oren, one of the I know you have a lot of passion for your Ironman activities, but I know you also are very involved in working with young people in particular, and have found this intersection of corporate social responsibility, CSR, as a means to think about an area that Israel is very strong in, cyber and digital technologies, and then sharing that with young people. Could you share a little bit about what the work is that you're doing and your impressions from that?
Yes, of course. I mentioned in my presentation that I had the privilege to serve in the elite unit 8200 and I learned cyber. And after I finished my army service, I started to work in Team 8. And one of the companies there is called Signia, the cybersecurity company. And I'm leading the, as you were mentioning, the CSR. And we realized that talking about threats with children about in the cyber arena, it's not good enough. We have to share with them, we have to expose them to new means, to new things that actually can help in their daily life. And what cyber was for me in my rehabilitation. And I'm giving actually a presentation about IoT, Internet of Things, of smart cities and smart medicine, and how this can affect my life, my daily routine. And by that, I'm actually can create some motivation for them to learn cyber and not just deal with the threats that, that's the easiest thing to do while talking to children. And we're actually aiming to social economy periphery in elementary schools and junior high schools, because children that are experts, children that are super talented, they don't need me. They will accomplish their goals without my help. I'm aiming especially to those children that need some help. And in the last 5 years, 6 years, I've been doing it all over Israel, up north, even in Yerucham. That's one of the southern towns. And it's great. It's great talking to those children, and that life were a bit more challenging for them. And this is the reason we're focusing on this area.
You've accomplished a lot of different things in your first life and in your second life, using that sort of terminology. What are you most proud of? What do you feel that is sort of your greatest success and legacy for your family?
Well, the fact that I'm become a father to two amazing daughters is my biggest win. The fact that I'm an Ironman is the second thing that I'm most proud of it. But if you're asking me what is a true success, I will say that I'm in love with endless learning. I'm in love with endless learning. I'm enjoying learning every day, something new, changing my goals from Ironman to Paralympic Games. Now I'm dreaming about crossing the English Channel to be the only second blind person in the world to do that, or maybe to do the Manhattan Circle as a swimmer. I don't know, aiming high and keep dreaming all the time.
And do you think, Omar said something that I was curious about, that at a certain point, acceptance of your injury, acceptance of your wound allows you, if you're able to then discover parts of you that you didn't know that maybe that they were there. This thirst for learning that you're describing now sounds like something really that's a part of you, but it sounds like it's been even ignited even further in your second life.
Well, I mentioned in my presentation that I was as a teenager, I loved to work hard, and I found it again in my second life. Working hard allowed me to accomplish my goals. But in one of the lectures, I was asked, what do I think? What is the biggest disability? Or what is the worst disabilities? And I answered pain, physically and mental pain. Pain can kill you. And I realized I don't have to fear from that. and I have to give it space in good times and bad times, and take care of it as myself as a PTSD as well. And today, 16 years afterwards, I'm not afraid from pain. And if it appears, I give him space and respect. And this is the reason I can grow and progress. Otherwise, it's fighting an endless war. And these are the things that I can think that are truly was useful in this long journey.
Wow, that's an amazing insight. Thanks for sharing that with us, Oren. Omar, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned coming back from Israel, maybe not speaking Hebrew, but you used the phrase tikkun olam very comfortably following your trip. Can I hear your translation or explanation of that term and what it means to you?
Yes, Wayne. So that means to fix or heal the world one person at a time. And again, Heroes to Heroes, we do that. We take one person at a time, and we take them to Israel, and we give them that spiritual healing that they need to move forward in life and to continue with their life and start their second life. So for me, that phrase was amazing. When I heard it in Israel, I fell in love with it, and I try to teach that to everybody that I come up with. I even tell my kids, hey, you guys remember Tikkun Olam, right? He goes, yeah, Dad, we know. You tell us so many times. But if everybody in the world just reaches one person and tries to help one person, the world will be a better place. And I learned that in Israel.
That's a great definition and a great takeaway. You know, people when they come to Israel often buy lots of little presents and have a lot of memories from their trips. But I think being able to take away a concept, a memory like that, and then applying it in the way your organization, Heroes to Heroes, does a great service, and it's the best form of tourism, I guess, when people are able to return, and we highly encourage people to do that, to be able to make and for spiritual reasons and for adventurous reasons and for beauty of nature and history, all those things that we explore. And that's essentially what we've been doing in this period of COVID, is trying to help people get through a difficult period by giving them these virtual tourist gifts from Israel and about people's connections. Oren, you made a reference to the difficulty of this past year let's face it, the entire planet had to figure this out in real time. You know, what are your takeaways from this period where, in a sense, everyone learned that they had to be vulnerable, or they had to be lonely or anxious or fearful in some way of a virus, of something they couldn't see, of something that was dangerous and even mortal. When you talked about your ability to overcome fear of pain, I was thinking a lot about that. And what advice or what things have you learned about what us, mere mortals have had to, all of us, sort of figure out in this recent difficult period?
Well, I don't know if unfortunately or fortunately, in the last 16 years, coping with uncertainty was totally up my alley, unfortunately. And I realized that some things that are not in our control. And I think by allowing yourself, not just understand, meaning to embrace the fact that there are things that are not in your control, allowed me to cope with the COVID challenges better, and reminding myself that this is what I've been doing in the last 16 years before the COVID started, is being agile. Agility is not a curse. It's something that you have to embrace in your daily routine. And plans and programs are good in the PowerPoint, in the computer, but you have to go out and ask yourself, well, okay, these are the restrictions. How can I make my best of myself in these circumstances? And not following your dreams and your programs and your plans just because you wrote them. To be flexible in your mind all the time. And I think this is what helped me during the last year. Make no mistakes, it wasn't so easy. But I kept reminding myself I can do that. And if I'm looking backwards, although I don't see, and you don't need eyes to see, I think I made a good moves, good progress in the last year, because I realize it's the part of my life, working in situations that you feel the sky fall and you still keep going.
That's a beautiful image. Thanks for sharing that, Oren. Omar, a lot of groups in isolation and experiencing trauma for the first time during COVID had to seek new methodologies and ways to find support when they couldn't gather in person or at church or in ways in which people are used to. In what ways, has the veteran community in your particular organization, how did you get through this tough year, and what are some of the things that give you hope, for the future?
Well, that's a good question, Wayne, because veterans, we need to be, we like being around other veterans. And that's why Heroes for Heroes Foundation is very special, because we're all veterans. We understand each other, like Oren knows. And during the pandemic, Judy and I sat down and started thinking. I go, how can we do this without? And we can't travel. We cannot go to Israel, and we started Zoom calls, just like this Zoom call right here, Wayne. We started Zoom calls for our alumni, and we had once every couple of weeks. Then we moved to once every month. And they were great. Because we kept in touch with all our alumni, and we even had a little concert from one of our alumni in Israel. She plays the guitar and she loves to sing, and she serenaded us from all the way from Israel. So yes, we use Zoom. We use phone calls, anything to keep our WhatsApp chat as well. So we just made sure that our alumni felt that we had not forgotten them, and that we are always with them and they're not alone.
Oren, Omar, brothers with a different mother, you guys shared with us today not only your own stories, but I think the stories of many who have either physical wounds or moral wounds that we have to not just that all of us have to be able to see in some way, and to be a part of that healing process. So we're grateful to both of you for being a part of this virtual family and for sharing so generously with your stories and frankly, the inspirations that each of you are, and the people that you work with that continue to build from this great tradition of service that both of our countries hold so dearly and celebrate in many different ways. And at the same time, we recognize we're really not doing a good enough job for those who have served to be able to help them in the long path that it takes toward healing after this kind of service. So we're grateful for that. We want to invite everyone on the call, to come back for our webinars. We're doing them twice a week on Wednesdays and on Sundays. This Sunday, we go to two sisters with a different mother. We've got Becky Schroer back in Israel and Naomi Reinhardt's my colleague in New York. They just met up in person in New York, so they got to meet for the first time. We're beginning to see the little trickle, tipa of travel back and forth, mainly family reunifications between Israel and the United States. We continue to hope and pray and look forward to the day where we can get together and have hummus together in person. In the meantime, let's do some Pilates together, because that's what we have lined up. You could do it indoors if it's really hot outside. Take a look, come join us. We want to wish everyone have a great week and a safe time. Thanks to both of our panelists. We look forward to continuing this conversation about not just acknowledging and celebrating vets, but also being part of their journey toward healing. Thanks to everyone today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.